Right, folks, the EU Migration Pact. Now, this here is some serious, serious stuff that, for me personally, you need to be looking into. I'm not coming here to say that I know everything about this, but I want you to know this. This EU Migration Pact can be used for two things. It can be used for helping your country or hindering your country. Now, we know what the Irish politics and the Irish political system's like. I'm just saying to you, right, that this isn't me sticking up for Varadkar, by the way. I'm not sticking up for him. He's a puppet, he's a clown, he's all those things. We know what he is, right? But was Simon Harris put into the job to allow things like this and to have no feelings towards it whatsoever? I'm asking you that question. Leave your answers in the comment section. Because after you hear this, I'm actually lost for words how much the Irish government is not for the Irish people. Like, I think to myself, am I going crazy here? I think to myself sometimes, am I going crazy? Thinking the way I think. And then I see things like this and I say 100%. How can any good country be join this type of a pact? Let's get into it now. I want to go straight into it. This is Grip Media. Go and support Grip Media. You can actually go and pay like $4.99 a month to support them, and you get access to all their exclusive features. So I would suggest that you do that. There's the Irish Independent, which is only 59p, but I would say support Grip Media because they put all their stuff out there for free anyway, and they're doing a service, guys. So just on a side note, head over, and if you want to support a good Irish cause, support Grip Media because they're out there doing the Lord's work. I mean, the articles that I come across, any information, it's Grip Media. So, support them because they're fighting the good fight. So I want to jump straight to this point, and the title is EU Migration Pact will be used to push migration unless political balance shifts radically. So what does that mean? When I seen that title, I went, oh, so it can be used for two things then. It depends on who's in power. So out of the frying pan into the fire, that's what I mean. Varadkar out, Simon Harris in. I seen him the other day. He reminded me of a Brit. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't want to put him down that much. That goes a wee bit too far with me. But he reminded me of a Brit, like a Southerner. Do you know those people that have absolutely destroyed Southern England and basically have allowed London to fall? He reminded me of one of those people. Just no feelings, coming out with the biggest pile of you know what. I've got it here up on my phone. And this is the crucial part that you need to understand. The pact itself, as Grip has previously reported, will basically mean that each European state will be required to set a quota of people it is willing to accept claiming asylum. So they come if the state country joins this pact, they go to Europe and they say, look, this is the amount that we're willing to take in. Now, the Sinn Féins, the Helen McEntees, those types of people have basically, the Mary Lou McDonalds have basically came out and said, look, they're unlimited number. So Ireland will be going as a state member to this here saying unlimited. Because they've said that, they've told us that. That's what they've said to us, isn't it? I'm not going crazy here. I've heard them say it's unlimited. We can't put a cap. We can't put a number on the amount that we can take in. So I'm assuming they'll go to these people and say unlimited. Right now, or will otherwise be fined €20,000 for each applicant that is refused to take. So let's break that down to understand it. See when it comes to the media, I know this is Grip Media, but sometimes you have to read over it just to see the devil in the detail. The pact itself, as Grip has previously reported, will basically mean that each European state will be required to set a quota of people it is willing to accept claiming asylum, or will otherwise be fined €20,000 for each applicant that it refuses to take. So if they don't sign this pact, for instance, if they don't give a quota for the amount that they're going to take in, because Europe's pushing for mass migration into all different countries. The big boys in Europe want mass migration. It's happening in America. I'm going to do a separate video on that. Basically, military trained asylum seekers going into countries, leaving their wife and kids at home. That's happening in America right now, along with the Chinese invading America. And it's happening in Europe too. And this is all under the umbrella of the European Union, right? And if you don't join this pact, I'm assuming, then if you refuse an asylum seeker, you're charged €20,000 for each one. So then that lays down the law for a country not accept them. So they say, well, look, we'll have to accept these people, or we're going to be fined 20,000. But for instance, if they're involved with this pact, we have a good leader, then our leader would say it wasn't Simon Harris, just say it was somebody with a backbone. Our leader would say, right, well, we're willing to accept this many, and that's our quota, and we're not going by that. So we wouldn't be getting charged for any of the ones that we refuse after that quota. But we know Simon Harris, and we know the Varadkars, and we know the Sinn Féin. Sinn Féin's pushing for this hard. And I'll tell you why they're pushing for it hard, because they want as many people in here as possible to vote for them. Because they're not getting the votes. They're getting the votes up north here, but not down south. They're not. Not down south. The people up north here are agreeing to what's going on in the Republic. And I'm trying to wake them up here at the minute, saying, look, you don't understand what's happening. What it does not do is provide states, or indeed the EU as an entity, should it have the will to do so, to deal with current levels of illegal residence. Now, this is a very, very important part that you just need to hear now, because this is where conspiracy theorists are going to go, well, create the wars, create the asylum seekers. They have the central control to push those asylum seekers into member states of this pact. So for instance, if the EU has an agenda bringing in more people, then there's definitely an incentive to create more wars, or at least not stop wars from happening, because it inevitably gives them the desired migration that they're looking for, if that makes sense. The EU centrally also retains the power to impose asylum seekers when it decides that there is an emergency situation somewhere in the world. So the EU centrally also retains the power to impose asylum seekers. So they can, if there's an emergency situation around the world, another war breaks out, just say the Palestinians need somewhere to go, and the countries surrounding Palestine don't take the Palestinians, Muslim countries don't take the Palestinians, then the EU can say to Ireland, right, well, you have a quota of this many. So what we're going to do is you're going to take in this many Palestinians. That's what that means. And I'm just using that for an example. And I think they can break the rule of the quota when there's an emergency situation. I think that's what that means. When there's an emergency situation, then basically the EU is imposing unlimited amount. So joining the pact's bad, and actually being involved with Europe is bad. Because right now, I don't see what benefit we're getting from Europe. What benefit is Ireland getting from Europe apart from heartache? Honestly, think about it. Is there some financial benefits? You're not sovereign. You're not independent. You know, you're buying all your stuff from centralized controlled food sources. You know, Ireland's importing potatoes. It's like, what are we doing here? This is Ireland. Given the loose definitions of what that might consist of that are current across most of the centre, right, and left, that is not a power that ought to be conceded easily. But it would be. It will be. That's the thing. So this EU has all the power to break quotas, even though you've given them a quota. And it all depends on who's running your country. Whether this pact can be, for instance, Ireland, if we had a good leader, Ireland could cut a deal with the EU in this pact and say, look, we've taken our fair share. Our people aren't happy, and rightly so. So what we're going to do is, here's our quota, and we're not going by that. And plus, we're bringing in heavy migration policies where you have to show identification. And believe it or not, I've been reading into this pact. They talk about anybody that any of the asylum seekers that come into Europe, then they're automatically screened and they're given like a European ID card, so then they can move freely into Ireland. But how do they know where they've came from? So this is where it gets tricky for me. How are they determining who that person is? So if somebody comes into Ireland with a European identification, right, as an asylum seeker European identification under this pact, just like Ireland, does Europe have the same policies as Ireland? Like Helen McEntee said, even if they don't have the correct identification, i.e. passports, driving license, they still have to prove who they are. And I asked, well, how can they prove who they are if they don't have those things? So does the same logic apply with them? Are they just going to take willy-nilly verification on who somebody is and then give them that ID card, which will allow them to move freely across Europe? Which, like, if I was England right now, if I was Britain, I would be going, this is getting sketchy, because we're getting threats left, right, and center because of Israel Palestine. There was the 7/7 bombings. 9/11 wasn't that long ago. There's still the threat of radical Islam attacking us. You have that in London all over anyway. There's terrorist cells in England with the 150 plus jihadi terrorists that reside in Ireland. That's 150 people who hate Western democracy. If I was England, I'd be thinking to myself, these boys have to catch a grip of themselves, because they're allowing people in here and we don't even know who they are. Okay, you're not going to stop everybody getting in. There's going to be people, coming through the cracks, but at least try. Ireland's bringing in 70% of the people don't have documentation, legitimate documentation, and Ireland's giving them an ID card for them to vote in general elections. So do you know what I mean? This here pact determines on who runs us. Who runs us? Think about it. Who runs us? We're ran by sociopaths, so they're going to use this pact against us. If we had a good, strong leader that would say, here's the cap, and that's all we're taking, because we'll have to put the Irish people first. But that's not the case, because we've heard them say unlimited. So they're going to go to the people they're going to go to EU and say Ireland's open for business, and the EU is going to go, great, thank you, Ireland. That's what's going to happen here. Just letting you know.